What's up, you guys? I'm Makai Block with Limitless North, and I wanted to talk with you today about whether or not you're really an entrepreneur. So many people call themselves an entrepreneur in this life. So many people take that title and want it for kind of the prestige. You know, when I was in college, I went to school at Montana State for graphic design. I started as a mechanical engineer, and then I did 2 years of that and got past the gate classes. But I had a clothing brand called Elevated Clothing. Still do that, still running it today. But that was my passion, and I knew if I continued in engineering, I would never pursue my dreams. And so I switched over to graphic design after doing a lot of prayer and just having some amazing people in my life tell me to switch to doing graphic design. And it all just happened at once. And so I switched over, and I was going through that, and I'd had my business for a couple of years at this point. I started it when I was 16, and going through college, I was still running it, and I was doing a good job with it. But I didn't want to take that title entrepreneur because I ran into so many people who would come up to me and they'd talk to me about what they did, or they would ask me what I did, and I'd tell them about my business, and they'd say, "Oh, cool, I'm an entrepreneur too." And I'd say, "Yeah, tell me what you're doing." And they'd kind of like break down nothing for me. They weren't doing hardly anything, and yet they called themselves entrepreneurs. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I feel like that title is a prestigious kind of merit that you earn, that you get to have and call yourself if you're actually doing the right things to be an entrepreneur, but not just if you have a business, or not just if you want to be an entrepreneur and you're dabbling in things, which so many people call themselves an entrepreneur when they're not. And it rubbed me the wrong way. And so I never called myself an entrepreneur, and I always shied away from it. People would say, "Oh, you're an entrepreneur, that's great." And I'd maybe kind of laugh and say, "Yeah, sure," you know, but I never owned that for myself. And I want to talk with you about whether or not you really are an entrepreneur. You see, it took me years of doing my business and really figuring out problems with it and delving into the correct forms of business and marketing and online sales and you know, just personality skills and personal growth and development before I got to a place where I was comfortable owning that title. You know, for me, my story is a little unique because I own an action sports brand rooted in snowboarding and wakeboarding and surfing. And so in the action sports industry, it was always uncool to be the man, right? It's always this rebellion against established society in some sense. And so you didn't want to be a businessman. You didn't want to be an entrepreneur in that realm. And so that was part of my holdup as well. But I moved down to Los Angeles after graduating college about 7 years ago and just wanted to expand my company. And I realized that, man, life is hard and business is tough. It's a really hard thing to do well at a business that you own, and you have to take it seriously, and you have to take yourself seriously. And so about 3 years ago, after just dabbling in all this stuff down here, I said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I don't want to be a starving artist. That's a line for a reason, and I don't want to be that. And I don't want to just be a kid with a dream or a passion. I want to be a guy that takes myself seriously. I want to be a guy that takes business seriously, and I want to be the best businessman that I can possibly be. And so I really just changed my focus, and I started delving into business, into online marketing, into sales, into salesmanship, and into personal development and wealth building and income increasing. And I took it incredibly seriously, and I started to learn so much. And little by little, my whole life began to change. The way that I do business and live my life and treat myself and motivate myself and manage myself, all of that absolutely changed and was revolutionized in the last 4 years of me doing this. And at the time that I took myself seriously, I started to take that title of entrepreneurship seriously as well. And I thought maybe I can start to finally call myself a real entrepreneur at this point, because I'm taking business seriously. I'm learning the things I need to learn, and I'm stepping up to the plate, and I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm improving and progressing. And not only that, I'm solving problems. So you know, I feel really comfortable taking that title of entrepreneur at this point, especially because I've not only grown one business, but I've grown a handful of businesses, and I've created multiple streams of income in my life. And I learned so much about success, and I'm teaching that to others, and that's really crucial and really important to me. But let's talk about you. It's more important for us to talk about you in this. So what is it that defines an entrepreneur? And are you okay taking that title for yourself? Can you be an entrepreneur? Can you call yourself an entrepreneur and actually have credibility? So what is an entrepreneur in the first place? Well, really, it's someone that's out there solving problems for the marketplace. Now, if you don't think about business that way, I want to challenge and encourage you to actually think about it that way. No matter what your business is, you have to solve a problem for somebody in the marketplace. with me, I'm providing clothing to people. Well, what problem does that solve? People don't actually have a problem of needing clothes, not in America typically, so I'm not actually clothing people that don't have clothing already, so I'm not solving a physical problem like that. So how does that apply? Well, really, it applies by me solving a problem of people wanting to fit into a niche, fit into a culture, a subculture, and belong and have an identity. And so I'm providing action sports clothing, I'm providing streetwear clothing, I'm providing a style that people get to buy into and identify with and wear it as a mark and say, I belong to this subculture. And not only do I belong to the subculture, but I identify with this brand, with their values, with what they're about, and this fits my line, this fits my perspective, and this is kind of who I am. And so we're providing people with an identity in a sense. And I want to encourage you to think about what problem is it that you're solving in the marketplace. How do you solve that for more people, and how do you do that better? Once you identify the problem that you're actually solving, you can really dial in to do it better and better and better and solve it for more people. So an entrepreneur is someone who's out there solving problems. If you just think you're providing a service for somebody, that's not necessarily entrepreneurship. I view entrepreneurship as someone who is continually progressing and solving more and more problems in better and better ways and improving the way that they do things. So if you're just providing a service to somebody and you kind of have a system down and you're just flatlining and doing something really consistently, but you're not really progressing, you're not changing, you're not innovating, you're not challenging yourself, I wouldn't call that entrepreneurship necessarily. But if you're innovating and you're pushing yourself and you're challenging yourself and you're solving more problems in better ways, that's entrepreneurship. And really for me, it's about that internal process. It's about the progress that you make personally. So personal development is such a huge, crucial part of entrepreneurship. If you're not growing yourself, I don't think you can take that title of entrepreneur. I think you have to look at the growth that you're doing, the ways that you're improving yourself, the ways that you're delving into new knowledge and new success and new habits and improving not only yourself but your products for other people as well. So how are you doing that? Are you challenging yourself daily? Are you becoming better? You know, there's this thought of if you're not growing, you're dying. Now this is a natural law. It's you know, the law of thermodynamics that everything goes to chaos, everything decays in life. So you have to repair things. You constantly have to put effort into improving something, or it's just going to fall to chaos, fall to decay. And there's so many ways that we see that in the world and in life. But let's talk about it personally. If you're not improving yourself, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not constantly working on yourself, you're going to fall into habits, you're going to fall into bad habits, and eventually you're going to lose the momentum and the progress that you've gained throughout your life. So you constantly have to be working on yourself and guarding your virtues and your values and your morals. Those are things that you have to defend. You have to define them and defend them, and then you have to push into being better and better at them and establishing something beautiful out of your life, out of your purposes, out of your talents, out of your skills, out of your values, out of your commitments, out of your morals. So you have to work on these things and improve yourself, and the more that you improve yourself, the more that you build this strong, fortified city. But the less that you do that work and the more that you just remain stagnant, it just crumbles and it's going to fall apart. So an entrepreneur is someone who consistently progresses forward, who consistently improves themselves, who dedicates themselves to personal development, personal growth, success, and making themselves better in every way. You can also carry that over to the business world. Like we've said, an entrepreneur is someone who improves their businesses, their processes, who's always looking for ways to solve problems. And ultimately, I think that's the definition of an entrepreneur, someone who solves problems. So problems in your own life, that you're bettering yourself, you're delving into personal development, self-improvement, personal growth, and success. So you're solving problems in your own personal life. And then someone who solves problems in businesses. You're always looking for the weak link, the bottleneck. You're looking for ways to overcome obstacles, to make better processes, better systems, put them in place, hire people, manage people better, identify small problems that can be fixed, that can be improved upon. So you're always looking for the problem and then the solution that you can present. So are you doing those two things first and foremost? And then how do you relate to your customers? Are you always solving their problems? Are you finding better ways to solve their problems for them and implement systems that help them become better and encourage them and give them a better style or class or whatever it is that they're looking for from your product or service? So the more that you solve problems for your customers, the more that you can call yourself an entrepreneur. And you know, another thing that really falls into this line of just solving problems is entrepreneurs typically do a handful of different things. They start different kinds of businesses. They create multiple streams of income in their life because they're solving a problem for themselves there as well. I need more income. I have more passions, so how do I solve the problem of getting my passions out into the world? And how do I solve this problem of needing more income? Well, you create new businesses, new structures, new things that are going to bring income into your life, and you delve into that. So it really is all about problem solving. And if you can look at your life and look at yourself and say, yeah, I'm someone who's bettering myself and solving problems in a business way, in a personal way, and for other people, and adding value to them, then I can call myself an entrepreneur. So again, another thing with this is adding value to the marketplace. All business revolves around adding value to other people. You see, any way that you make money is from other people, unless you're investing in like the stock market or something like that. I mean, that's a little bit more vague to think about it in that way. So let's say there's a few ways that you can make money where you don't actually have to provide a service or a value for somebody else. But I would say 98% of the time, money that you make comes from other people. You have to solve a problem for someone else to get them to pay you for that solution, and the relief that they get from the problem that you solve has to be greater than the relief they get from having their money so they can part with it. So you have to add value to people. Everything you do as a businessman, as an entrepreneur in your business, is add value to the marketplace. Bring incredible value to people, give so much more than you're being paid for, do so much more than you're being paid for, and you'll be able to earn money out of that. And so ask yourself that, how are you at adding value to the marketplace? And what is your marketplace? Can you define that? Can you define a specific industry that you're a part of? And are you actually contributing to that industry? Are you adding value to the industry? Are you making people glad that you're around and thankful that you are around doing what you're doing? And if the answer is yes, then call yourself an entrepreneur, because you're creating and providing a benefit for lots of people. You're solving problems for them, you're giving them joy, you're giving them peace, you're giving them comfort in some way, and you're creating a greater need for what your products and services are than the need that they have for their own money, and that is part of being an entrepreneur. So before you claim that title for yourself, I just want to encourage you to take it seriously. Don't be those guys that left a bad taste in my mouth about entrepreneurship, which made me not want to be an entrepreneur. Be the guys that are actually out there doing it, solving problems, bettering themselves, really pushing forward, building wealth, building income, giving back to the world, giving back to the community, solving problems, being charitable. Be guys that are on the top of your game. Be high earners and top men and women that are impacting the world around them in great ways through their business, through their conduct, through their character, and through the way that they give back. And if you can do those things, then I encourage you to take the title of entrepreneur and own it, and love it and live it, and share that perspective with other people about what it takes to be an entrepreneur and why you can be an entrepreneur for those things. So if you guys have any thoughts, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what does it mean to be an entrepreneur to you. That's kind of my journey. That's where I've come from. That's what I'm doing now. That's how I built myself into an entrepreneur and actually care about the title, and I'm taking it with passion and pride. But how about you? What is it that you think an entrepreneur does and is all about? And what is entrepreneurship? And what problems are you solving? Leave some comments in the comment section below and let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear from you guys. I appreciate you. I'm a Kai Block with Limitless North. God bless, best of times, and I will see you on the next one.